Now let's take a look at how we can leverage the cellular network and our Arduino. How can we use that cellular technology to send and receive data? In this video, I'm not going to go over all the details of how to do that. It's a very complicated topic and it varies very much based on the board you get and the shield you have, whatever that might be. And this is more of a high level, here's what can be done, here's how it is done, and here's an example of what I've made. And this is one of those things that just blows me away, right? It's an Arduino, it's a microcontroller, it's got a bunch of switches and pins that you can just turn on and off, right? That's a simplistic look at it. And I always tell people, think of it as a little microcontroller that can control light switches and turn them on and off all day long based on their input. But when you think about that, really isn't that what every computer is? It's zeros or ones. And what can you do with just zeros or ones? And this is one of those cases. You can actually build your own cell phone, right? Just by turning things on and off. Okay, that's a very simplistic view of it, but this just blows me away. And this, albeit quite clunky and thick, it's certainly not as elegant as my iPhone, it's still more impressive than the latest iPhone out there, right? You pull this out of your pocket, or more likely your bag, and make a phone call on it, and you're sure to impress people that know electronics. So let me talk about what this is. This is actually a phone, and I'm going to show you how to just upload the code, and then we'll break it apart and talk a little bit about what's going on here and give you some tips and tricks about connecting to the cellular network. So first things first, there is a lot of codes involved in this project, or I should say libraries. And I'm using a touchscreen, TFT screen here. I'm using a cellular shield and I'm using an Arduino. And I installed a whole bunch of libraries to make this happen. And I downloaded some code. Let me go ahead and plug it in and just upload the code and show you the magic of this. All right, so this is a standard run-of-the-mill Arduino Uno. It's connected to the port there, that's fine. And let's open up my code that I downloaded already. I grabbed this from Seed Studio, and that's the shield that I'm using here. That's Seed, S-E-E-D, studio.com. They make a lot of great Arduino products. And this is their phone sketch. So let me upload this to the board and watch what happens. It's uploading. Done uploading. The board's reset, and yes, believe it or not, you can see it says call or SMS. And if I want to text somebody something or call someone, I can literally hit call, type in the number that I want to call, and their phone will ring. Now this right now doesn't have a microphone hooked up or a headphone, but literally I can plug them in right down here. Very simple. I just wanted to show you the demo. This does work. It's amazing. So let's take a look at what makes up this phone. I even hit a reset here and go back, and if I wanted to send a text message again, I would change the code a little bit to give you maybe some letters of the alphabet as opposed to having to hit three times. It's like an old school phone. Let me unplug this and take it apart a little bit. Number one, it's a really nice touchscreen TFT shield by Seed. It's actually called the TFT Touch Shield. A library associated with it, beautiful color, touch sensitive. And then this is what's making the cellular connection. Again, Uno, no big deal. But here it is. This is one of their different cellular shields. This is a little bit of an older one. They have new ones that are much smaller. And things to consider before using or before purchasing one of these shields. Number one, what is your cellular network? What are you going to connect to? Is it GSM? Is it LTE? What speeds? What kind of communication protocol? So that's very important to think about before you go spending 50, 60 bucks on these. Some of them are a little bit less expensive, some are more expensive. Speaking of which, lots of companies make these, right? There is the Adafruit Fona. I love that one, but I've shown a lot of Adafruit products on here, so it's time to give another company some love. The Seed Studio, I believe they just call this is just a GPRS shield, and they just have, if you go to seedstudio.com, you can just search for cellular, and they'll show you all the different flavors of cell phone shields and adapters that they have. And truth be told, why I didn't make a phone call on that one, you can see I don't even have a SIM card inserted here. In fact, I'm not even going to pop it open, but that's where your SIM card would go. Also, SparkFun makes some really nice cell shields. I believe you can just search for cellular shield or cell phone or cellular, and you'll come up with a couple different varieties. Another really interesting thing to note, which I didn't buy and I'm not going to demo, and I'm just going to throw it out there, but I find this to be fascinating. SparkFun also sells an Iridium satellite communication shield. So if you're familiar with sat phones, right, they can make a phone call or send and receive data from anywhere in the world. They use satellites, not cell phone towers. So if you've got a product that needs to connect to the internet or needs to send a text message and you happen to be in Antarctica, that shield will actually work with an Arduino. Now, that being said, it's fairly expensive. You have to pay a monthly access fee. The shield's about $250. I didn't buy it and demo it because I think it's a very limited market. But again, it's one of those things that this simple little Arduino, something that can just listen and turn pins on and off, that it can communicate with satellites and make a phone call or send and receive data from anywhere in the world is truly fascinating. So there's lots of options out there for phones. Like I said, things to consider. Number one, some of them have built-in GPS, so that's really handy. Why have a phone and a GPS shield? Get one that's combined. Some of them might not work with your cell phone technology depending on where you are in the world. Some of them may or may not have battery backups, really handy for saving some of those settings and clock functions of the GPS. Some of them are shields, some of them are just little daughter boards that use up fewer pins. So there's a lot out there, but you should know that you can actually make your own cell phone, or at the very least, think about a sensor that's somewhere far away that can send you a text message when it receives some information. I built a project a long time ago that was doing some environmental sensing, and I couldn't get a Wi-Fi signal where I was, but I could easily get a cell phone signal. And with one of those throwaway kind of burner phones, you can get a SIM card, and it costs you like $30, and you can refresh that SIM card every 30, 60, 90 days, and it's really not that expensive. And I had it was a water quality and some other sensors, send me a text message with their data once a day, once an hour, or when something drastically changes. Even think about building an alarm for your boat at a marina that the engine's been turned on or something like that. Really cool stuff, and it's all done with this very simple Arduino microcontroller.